welcome to Tom's Messiaen vlog, episode 13, and a new location. The glories of the acoustic at Blackburn Cathedral. Unfortunately, because of where the console's placed, I've got this sort of crown of thorns, which is a bit unfortunate. If you can just about see in the gloom this extraordinary sculpture above the altar. And also behind me, you can see some of the organ, two cases there and there, and then there's another two up there as well. So the organ's in 4 locations. So there are a number of things that make Blackburn an exciting place to play. The acoustic is wonderful. You just have to know how to manage it. So that's one of the things I'm working on at the moment. But also the organ is in 4 different locations, close enough to one another for it to sound cohesive with ease, but far enough away for you to be able to generate some spatial effects, which can be really good fun. Anyway, I haven't recorded one of these vlog posts for a while because I didn't particularly have anything to say, if I'm honest, and other things were going on. And more to the point, no Messiaen was going on for a while. Anyway, the last few weeks, and since the summer really, I have been working on the Livre du Saint-Sacrement again because at last there was a performance in prospect. Not where I was originally anticipating performing it for the first time, but still somewhere hugely exciting, and that is here, Blackburn Cathedral, which is just down the road from me. It's a wonderful place in which to play Messiaen. It really is just fantastic. So I'm really thrilled to be playing the Livre du Saint-Sacrement here in November of 2021. And other performances that were planned for 2020 and so on and so forth will happen in due course over the course of 22 and 23. So, you know, like so many things in the pandemic, my performance of this piece has been knocked back. Now, why am I making this video? Well, I've been a bit spontaneous. I haven't planned this in the slightest. I've just been sat here and thought, oh, I should do a vlog post. So here I am doing a vlog post. What am I actually going to talk about? Well, all of a sudden I find myself having to adapt to this vast room, and it's interesting really. I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable playing in a large acoustic, and indeed I'm very familiar with this place and this organ. However, most of my practice, virtually all of my practice of the Messiaen has taken place at home, first on the digital organ and then more recently on the little pipe organ I've now got. And as you'll have seen from previous vlog posts, those instruments, whilst lovely, are in a small room. And all of a sudden, I'm in this vast space, and I'm some distance away from the pipe work as well, so everything just feels completely different. Now, this I anticipated. However, it's just worth saying that, I mean, silence and space are important in all music making, but they're absolutely critical in Messiaen. He writes out his silences sometimes. It's very particular about them in places. He wants there to be space and silence. Dom Columbia Marmion, one of Messiaen's favourite spiritual writers, talks about the silence of adoration. So that's one of the things perhaps that Messiaen is bearing in mind when he produces these amazing silences. But of course he's talking about the silence of eternity as well, and the cosmos, the hugeness of creation. There's a whole bunch of things going on there. So the silence is significant, and so you can create that silence, that sort of living silence in a dry room. You can do it, but you have to think about it, and you have to feel comfortable with the total dead silence. So in my practice room at home, I've been doing that. I've been trying to make sure I'm inhabiting those silences and that they are alive, and that I'm actually sort of thinking them through, as opposed to it just being a sort of a break or something. But then you come here, and it's all very well me imagining the silence, but I've also got this extraordinary acoustic to consider, and it's just been the most wonderful experience to listen to the building. I mean, we're organists, we play buildings, we play an instrument, but we also play a room. I mean, that's absolutely part and parcel of being an organist. Perhaps it seems particularly vivid to me because there hasn't been much hanging around in big rooms playing organs in the last couple of years, but also I think it's just the nature of this music. You really are playing the room. My goodness me. I should probably give you a demonstration of something, but maybe I'll do another post in the next 2 or 3 weeks from here and play you some bits. That's not really the purpose of this particular vlog. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the space. Now, what else do I want to talk about? Registration. This is an interesting one. Messiaen, his registrations are incredibly specific, right the way back to L'Ascension and before, always incredibly specific and detailed in his provision of registrations, and always his registrational suggestions are refer specifically to the organ at La Trinité. That is not to say that you can only play this music on the La Trinité organ. And in fact, the relationship between the organ and the music sort of widens, I would argue, as Messiaen's career progressed. Why do I say that? Well, Livre du Saint-Sacrement was commissioned to be performed elsewhere. So Messiaen wasn't writing it with just the La Trinité organ in mind, but that was obviously his starting point. It was where he did his improvising. We were talking about that in a previous episode. So the La Trinité organ is the most significant source of inspiration in terms of organs for Messiaen. But everybody else has to play it everywhere else. And Messiaen was clearly relaxed about that, and there were performances of his music that he approved of that took place on organs that were really very different indeed from his organ in Paris. So one shouldn't get too worked up about the issue of registration. However, you do need to be as faithful as you can be, and I'm sat here at Blackburn, and there are certain things which I don't have. Messiaen expects an organ, or asks for independent tierce stops on 3 separate manuals. Well, this organ hasn't got that. I mean, it's got 2 tierce stops, although one of them's in a sesquialtera, but it doesn't have 3. How many organs do? He wants 4 differing 16-foot flue stops on the manuals, and he uses them. He's very specific about that. Well, this organ doesn't have that either, so there's a compromise that needs to be found there. What else? Various things. There are octave couplers. This is something that particularly affects the later Messiaen pieces. He asks for octave and suboctave couplers, left, right and centre, to add to the harmonic complexity of the sounds that he's created. And, a lot of organs don't have as many octave and suboctave couplers as Messiaen's did. So these are the sorts of things I'm having to find my way around. I have to say, to my surprise, I've not had to come up with too many compromises, and it's sounding pretty magical. I'm just rambling on. I hope this has been interesting. A couple of things that I did anticipate, but I didn't expect them to sort of to be as significant as they have been as issues. So one, actually there's just the one thing. I've been practising a lot on an organ that has 4 stops, and I've been doing vast amounts of practice on an 8-foot flute, basically. Sometimes on a 4-foot flute and sometimes on the 2 stops on the upper keyboard. But the point is, I've been using those single sounds or maybe 2 stops at once. And when you're playing a 2-part texture, such as in movement 15, Le Joie de la Grâce, you end up with a sound when you play on just an 8-foot, like this. Lovely. How charming. Thing is, though, and I just need, at this point, just to zip back through my pistons. Yeah, there we go. The thing is, Messiaen's registration that he wants at that point is actually to have 2 mixtures out, a 4-foot clarion and an 8-foot bourdon. So that is a much more complex sound, full of all sorts of additional notes, harmonics, and so on and so forth, that just aren't there with the 8-foot flute. So on the 8-foot flute, it sounds like you're playing a 2-part texture, because that's what's written on the page. When you use the registration he wants, it sounds like you're playing a load of extraordinary resonant chords. One of the notes on the clarion is out of tune, actually, but you get the idea. And let's have a look at the next phrase as well. So, becomes it actually takes a couple of minutes to get used to that, having spent 18 months playing this piece on pretty much the same registration every day. Well, not every day, but near enough. So anyway, that is enough from me. This really was just, like I said, a spontaneous post to say hello and to check back in again and to share with you my experience of sitting in Blackburn. You can probably tell I'm quite excited. I've just had the most amazing time. I will do more posts over the next few weeks. The performance is on the 14th of November, and I've got various thoughts to share with you. And also, I think it would be fun to come back in here with a proper camera and perhaps record one of the shorter movements, so you can hear some of the stuff I've been talking about with the right registrations. Anyway, that's enough. So tune in next time.